Good evening. Angry residents are demanding action after hundreds of drivers invaded a supermarket car park. But the car enthusiasts say they're just looking for somewhere to hold their meetings and show off their cars. Giles Latcham has been talking to people living close to the venue of the most recent rally.
It was a huge gathering, kind of spectacular if cars are your thing. Young motorists from all over the Midlands descended on Shirley near Solihull on Sunday. They were keen to stress for any kind of racing.
What we try and do is get our local enthusiasts together to bring our cars together in a car park and celebrate our cars and show off our pride and joys. It's nothing to do with all that boy racer stuff, because the stereotype gets branded about quite badly, where all young people get stereotyped for boy racing, when 90% of us actually just come here to celebrate and show off our pride and joys more than anything.
It attracted about 1,000 people in 700 cars. Better on this car park, said some, than on the public highway.
It's a better way to do it. Keeps the boys off the streets, keeps us girls off the street as well. And it's something to do. I mean, it's a Sunday night, bank holiday, best thing to do, yeah.
Well, no, say people living near the supermarket, or at least a dozen we spoke to whose bank holiday weekend was rather spoilt.
You could hear like loads of cars driving up and down. You can hear their horns going off every like 5 seconds.
Shouting loud, obnoxious music. We got 4 young kids, so we're trying to get them to sleep.
Residents and the councillors have complained several times about this. Nothing's been done really.
The event raised funds for a cancer research charity, and most there were well behaved. But a local councillor says that doesn't mean the organisers got it right.
It's not beyond the realms of possibility that can organise them away from houses, away from causing disturbance to people, because they know there's going to be 1 or 2 hotheads who are going to cause problems.
Tesco say the gatherings in their car park here amount to an offence, and they share residents' concerns about them. They're planning to put up notices warning against such gatherings, and they say that they'll share CCTV with the police.
Very simply, asked residents, couldn't Tesco seal the car park with a gate? At the council, though, there's now talk of seeking an injunction to prevent events like this right across the borough. Giles Latcham, BBC Midlands Today, Shirley.
So what about another issue of the so-called boy racers, drivers ignoring speed limits on the public highway? Our reporter Noel Phillips has been out on patrol with police who are trying to tackle the problem.
We're out on patrol with officers from the West Midlands Police Traffic Unit. They're trying to tackle the issue of illegal street racing.
It's a dual carriageway, carries very little traffic late at night, an island at either end.
You're in excess of this motorway speed limit, okay, so you're not just speeding, you are travelling very fast.
One of the first arrests of the night, and PC Hudson has pulled over a driver who was suspected of doing twice over the legal limit.
When you're driving a motor vehicle on a road, you need to give it 100% of your concentration. The problem is mainly to the innocent people that are suffering, you know, sort of the antisocial behaviour aspect of it, when the people are racing up and down by where they live, and the fact that they feel unsafe on the roads when they see it.
But street racing is not a new problem. In the last 4 years, 47 drivers have been convicted for road racing offences here in Birmingham. That's the highest in the country, and most are between the ages of 22 and 50. In 2012, the A47 dual carriageway became notorious for boy racers. There was even shocking footage of a child playing chicken on the start line. Police made 200 arrests at the time. Since then, Wolverhampton, Walsall, Sandwell and Dudley councils have obtained court injunctions where racers in the Black Country now face up to 2 years in jail. But is its success now pushing the problem to other areas? In Bicken Hill Park in Solihull, another call for PC Hudson about an illegal street race.
Driving down a stretch of road at twice the speed limit, racing somebody else, there's a good chance you are going to kill somebody, whether it be yourself or an innocent member of the public.
No arrests this time, but a strong message for anyone tempted to break the law. Noel Phillips, BBC Midlands Today.
Well, David Jameson is the West Midlands Police and Crime Commissioner, and he joins me now. Good evening.
Good evening.
Now, the drivers in our first report, the car enthusiasts, they say they're doing absolutely nothing wrong, but the residents have clearly been disturbed over the bank holiday weekend. So what's the solution?
Well, I think firstly it's a great hobby, and I think that for young people to have a good time with these cars is great. But what people don't have the right to do is to disturb other people. And in some cases, some of the people who are joining in on these groups are actually putting other people's lives at risk. Now, the part of the solution that Solihull are taking tomorrow night, I understand, is getting out an injunction to stop these sort of gatherings. I think there needs to be discussion between the council and the car enthusiasts to see how people can assemble in a safe way without putting people's lives at risk and without disturbing local residents.
But David, as we've seen, when a council does bring out an injunction, the problem just pops up somewhere else, doesn't it? So it's not a solution, it just means it's a sticking plaster and it goes somewhere else.
Well, Birmingham and parts of the Black Country have solved their problem by taking out these injunctions. So they've now moved to Solihull. If we take these injunctions out, it's then up to the car enthusiasts to look for places where they can meet and rally and have a great time, but without causing that disruption, and most of all not using the public road for racing and trials and doing things which are hazardous.
And David, just on a slightly different matter, the Police Federation, the body that represents rank and file officers, they've said that your force's patrol cars, which are used for neighbourhood policing and not intended for emergency use, they don't have any sirens. They say that they've been used more than 100 times in the last year to attend urgent incidents. Is that true?
I think it's 100 times, possibly out of tens of thousands of calls, and inevitably there'll be occasions when some of the smaller cars, they're Vauxhall Corsas actually, are the first on the scene. It's not the intention of the police to use those for most of the call-outs, but I've asked the Chief Constables to look at how often they're being used and whether they do need sirens fitted. But if it's not a matter of fitting the sirens, it's also having the driver in the car that's trained to drive where they don't have to obey all the traffic laws. That has to be addressed as well.
Okay. David Jemson, thank you for your time this evening. Thank you. A school is taking